hard to top this weather. Feels like we're just stuck in San Diego right now.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm good with it too. Right. Let's go to meteorologist Tamara Berg with more on these just pleasant afternoons.
Yeah, a beautiful start to the day. The skies are crystal clear right now as we look around downtown Sacramento. Countdown is on. We still have 50 minutes to go until the sun peeks out in that morning sky. Right now, starlit morning for folks that are early risers and getting out for maybe starting a workout. Right now, it's 59 degrees with a light south wind at 5 miles an hour in Sacramento. As we head towards the 8 o'clock hour, those temperatures will be in that upper 50s range still. We'll make the move to the low 60s by 10 a.m., mid 70s by lunchtime. Daytime highs will push into the lower to mid 80s. So another round of a beautiful afternoon as we go through the day today. Right now, we're starting out cool at 58 in Fairfield, 60 in Stockton and Modesto underneath those clear skies. 60 right now in Yuba City. It's 57 in Placerville, and all the way up the hill you'll find some patchy fog into Truckee. As you'll notice, there's not a lot of movement in terms of the wind up and through the Sierra. We have east winds at 7 right now in Placerville. Steadiest breeze there in Fairfield out of the southwest at 16 miles per hour. Foothills planner for today, a nice comfortable start to your morning. We'll move into the low 70s by lunchtime with daytime highs in areas like Auburn, Sonora, and up near Quincy, getting into the upper 70s to about 80 degrees. Coming up in my full forecast, there's another chance for thunderstorms over the Sierra. I'll break down the timing on those storms. It is 6:02. Let's check with Brian now and see what's on the highways.
Thanks, Tamara. You can take a live look here at Interstate 80. This is at Antelope Road, and if you saw the last traffic report, you know that it was pretty backed up on the westbound side. You can see both sides of the freeway moving along with no delays now after it appears they've cleared a crash that was right around Greenback in the number 1 lane. Speeds through the area now back up to 65 miles per hour. So all good news there. If you're heading out the door right now onto westbound 80, shouldn't have any issues there. Highway 50 looking good coming from Folsom down into the 99 transition there, and then 5 and 99 looking good coming up from Elk Grove with no delays out across the causeway. If you're heading out towards Davis, just a little congestion right at the transition ramp. Stockton also incident free, but we're going to head out to 580 where we've got a major incident that's causing some big delays for drivers heading out towards Dublin right now. This is going to be right around Springtown Road. There was a 5-vehicle crash. One of the vehicles caught fire and it's blocking the 1 and 2 lane. So we've got speeds down to 30 miles per hour, even 20 miles per hour, all the way back to, past Altamont Pass Road. So travel times in that area, westbound 580 from 205 sitting at 71 minutes right now if you're heading into Dublin. 205 just across the top of the triangle is going to be 23 minutes, and then westbound 80, 505 to 12, a 14-minute ride. Here in Sacramento, everything's running at the limit. Deirdre?
All right, thanks, Brian. Happening this morning, the 30 days are up, and Sacramento County District Attorney Tin Ho is going to be holding a news conference to announce the next steps in the effort to address homeless encampments in the city. Now, last month, the DA's office released a letter formally putting the city on notice of potential legal action. Ho said that his office would investigate the city for violating the law by allowing a public nuisance, which has negatively impacted the community. Mayor Darrell Steinberg says the DA is politicizing the issue and not acting in good faith. The news conference will start at 10. We'll have more on that coming up at noon and, of course, on our KCRA app.
Well, right now, Sacramento police are trying to determine if 2 shootings in the same spot just a few days apart are connected. Investigators say 2 women were hurt in the shooting just before 2 p.m. yesterday on Kit Carson Street near Revere Street. This is the same block of Kit Carson Street where a man was shot and killed just 3 days earlier. Residents say they are fed up with the violence and want the apartment complex involved to do more.
They could be caught in the middle of crossfire. They don't deserve to lose their lives. You know, they're not behind this. You know, they deserve a chance to live a long, prosperous life.
We asked the manager of a nearby apartment complex if there were any plans to boost security, but have not heard back. Right now, no arrests have been made in connection to either shooting.
Workers at a Rockland business are going to continue some cleanup today. The driver of a stolen car crashed into a store. The CHP had to try to pull over that stolen car, but they say that the driver of that stolen Kia refused to stop. This was the scene yesterday afternoon. Crews worked to remove the wrecked car. Officers say that the driver lost control and then crashed at the Crossing Shopping Center just off of Sierra College Boulevard. So it clipped an AT&T store. There is some damage to a wall. The driver of the stolen car did go to the hospital.
The pursuing officer immediately rendered aid. The injuries to the suspect are unknown at this time.
No one else was hurt.
Things are settling down finally in Stanislaus County after 5 earthquakes shook the area. Quakes were all centered west of Patterson in the town of Wesley. There were 2 separate magnitude 3.2 quakes, one at 10:25 p.m., the other at 9:40. And just after 9 o'clock, a magnitude 4.4 hit. People in the Valley and Bay Area reported feeling that one. And just before that, a 3.6 magnitude quake hit at 8:45 p.m. First quake in this area was around 5. U.S. Geological Survey just upgraded their measurements on that quake. It's now a magnitude 4. No reports of any damage. A warning from the Placer County Sheriff's Office after a man was rescued from the Forest Hill Bridge. Deputies say a 19-year-old man who was intentionally swinging from the underside of the bridge, well, he got stuck. They shared this photo of that. You can see the man just hanging onto a rope. Deputies say the man was swinging from the bridge as his friend recorded video. His equipment failed. He got stuck, hanging about 30 feet from the underside of the catwalk. Deputies say both the man and his friend were cited for trespassing.
Auto workers are heading into day 5 of their strike. Hollywood writers are on day 140, and in both cases, talks and negotiations continue. During an interview on CNN, Governor Newsom spoke about the strikes and the support that he has for workers. He sees it as a result of stress and anxiety built up from the wealth and income inequality and the post-pandemic problems that a lot of people face. And he says it's not just an issue for those 2 industries.
You're seeing it more broadly as labor's exercising more muscle out of more fear and stress about the world we're living in. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think fundamentally that's a good thing. I believe in collective bargaining. I believe working families and the working poor do better when they organize together. And in California, I don't know there's a state in our nation, not a state in the nation, that does more to support that framework and those bargaining units.
The Writers Guild is expected to meet with studios a little later this week in the hopes of reaching a deal. The Auto Workers Union has threatened more walkouts if no substantial progress in talks gets done by Friday. President Biden is sending a team to Detroit to try to help broker a deal between the auto workers and car manufacturers.
Happening this morning, President Biden headed to the United Nations in New York. A busy 2 days of meetings and sit-downs with world leaders ahead. But first, a speech addressing major geopolitical issues. KCRA 3's Amy Lou is in Washington now with more on what the president is expected to say.
Well, the White House says that President Biden's speech will underscore American leadership, describing it as a vision solving the world's most pressing problems. At the top of the Biden administration agenda at the UN, Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Ending this war on just terms, on the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity, would serve the benefit not just of the Ukrainian people, but people everywhere.
President Biden dedicating part of his speech reaffirming U.S. support and the war's impact to global food security.
He's really worked with the G7, worked with the G20 and other partners to rally the world to help countries in the global south.
Building on relationships with allies, President Biden will also reference climate change and investment in developing countries, countering threats from Russia and China.
We would need countries united more than ever.
Following Biden's address, meetings with UN Secretary General and leaders of Central Asia, all with his 2024 prospects in mind.
He's been working with many of these leaders he'll be working with this week for decades. He needs to show the American people there's a value to that.
And tomorrow, President Biden will be meeting with Brazil's president as well as the Prime Minister of Israel. Both of those very delicate relationships while he'll reiterate a commitment to democracy. In Washington, I'm Amy Lou.
Now, following today's remarks and meetings, President Biden and the First Lady will host the leaders' reception at the Met Museum this evening. Tomorrow, President Biden will meet with Brazil's president and with the Prime Minister of Israel. Both delicate relationships where he will reiterate a commitment to democracy.
6:09, Sacramento International Airport is adding a new nonstop destination. Starting next year, you'll be able to fly straight to the Motor City.
KCRA 3's Melanie Wingo joins us now live with more about why this is such a big deal for SMF. Good morning.
It sure is. Starting in July, travelers will be able to go direct to Detroit from Sacramento. Delta Airlines announcing that there will be a flight nonstop from Sacramento to Detroit. On social media, SMF highlighted Detroit as a city packed with music history, art and culture, close to natural beauty, and of course, delicious food and automotive legends. The Motor City is one of Delta's 2 Midwest hubs, Minneapolis-St. Paul being the Legacy Airlines' other Midwest hub. This Sacramento to Detroit nonstop route, not the only nonstop flight announced this year. Within the past couple months, SMF announced nonstop service to Orlando on Southwest Airlines beginning in March of 2024. Nonstop flights to Miami will start in December. And starting next month, Delta Airlines is going to be offering nonstop flights to Las Vegas. As for those direct flights on Delta from Sacramento to Detroit, the official start date for all of that is July 8th. Reporting live at Sacramento International this morning, Melanie Wingo, KCRA 3 News.
Well, tickets for the new service are already on sale on Delta's website. You are not waking up to a new multi-millionaire this morning, but the good news is no one else is either, so you still have a chance.
Yeah, so obviously nobody hit the winning numbers in last night's Powerball drawing, and that means the jackpot goes up to $672 million now. Here are the winning numbers, though. 2, 21, 26, 40, 42. The Powerball was number 9. 2 people in California did hit 4 of the numbers and the Powerball, winning more than $31,000 each. The next drawing is set for tomorrow night.